Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and so far on this channel we've been taking a close look at all of the class changes, keeping up with all the new revamps, talent refreshes, and some of the new powerful tier set bonuses coming with the patch 10.2. So far, 10.2 hasn't gotten an official release date just yet, but most are assuming that it will likely drop towards the beginning of November, probably shortly right after BlizzCon, which would mean that the patch arrives in about a month away. And with such a short time span, many have begun to take a much closer look over on the PTR as everyone is trying to figure out which class they're likely going to main next. And recently, I've been getting messages from you guys asking me that same question, with many of you hoping to jump into the brand new set of dungeons on a powerful new playstyle. And while it is still difficult to point out which classes will ultimately come out the strongest, since none of the PTR class tuning is by no means final, we can however take a look at all of the class specs that are looking to improve, by highlighting every single playstyle that found themselves often overlooked during the Season 2. But these same specs will likely get a bit more time in the spotlight with all of the changes coming to them with the Season 3. But right before we get into this class list video, most of you guys watching these are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway. Especially if you want to get more regular content regarding Dragonflight 10.2 or any of the future updates going forward. Let's start off this list of classes by going over the melee first. And the first melee worth featuring is the Unholy Death Knight. This unholy summoner is seeing some of its focus shifted specifically for Mythic Plus content. Unholy Death Knights are known to have some of the strongest cooldowns in Dragonflight. However, the rest of your rotation sometimes can feel kind of inconsequential. Getting a perfect opener in a raid setting allows you to maximize your single target output, but trying to spread around those cooldowns within the Mythic Plus environment becomes much harder, especially with some cooldowns being more single target oriented and others are more AoE focused. So instead, Gargoyle as well as the army cooldowns are going to be a little bit weaker for the patch 10.2, but everything else when it comes to your base rotation, random procs, and shorter cooldowns are going to feel far stronger, creating a more satisfying playstyle. And to help Unholy break into more cleave capabilities, your newest tier set allows you quite a bit of extra AoE damage. Summoning up Magi with Army or Apocalypse allows them to cleave nearby targets, which helps massively improve the performance of Unholy within dungeons, a spec that generally has some of the lower representation. As a bonus, Unholy Death Knight players will also have access to the spec of Frost, which feels quite potent with the Mythic Plus dungeons, with a tier set that seems to synergize well, whether you play in the two-handed Obliteration build or the dual-wielding Breathless and Dragosa, as well as the tanky Blood Death Knights, which is also getting one of the more potent tier set bonuses. Another melee spec worth highlighting in this video is the Assassination Rogue, which is sitting right next to Unholy when it comes to some of the lower melee representation. And rogues in general are going through quite a few changes within the patch 10.2. The revamp addresses both the class talents, which provide additional defensives and utility, as well as the spec talent tree, which offers far more gameplay capabilities. One of the biggest weaknesses of Assassination Rogue is the lack of cleave and AoE focused talents. For the longest time, the spec could either specialize in pure single target damage but suffer in AoE, or vice versa, or be simply mediocre at both. But in 10.2, bleeds can now cleave onto nearby targets with ease, and your bleeds even scale with the amount of enemies you're fighting, which allows you to maintain that AoE consistency. Alternatively, you could also focus more on the single target poison damage while letting every one of your toxins cleave freely onto nearby targets, which creates some satisfying funnel focused gameplay. And all of these changes don't even alter the core of the spec. You're still the Assassination Rogue, stabbing your way through with ruptures and garrotes spread to every target, while death marking a single foe ripe for the harvesting. The talents simply help expand on what's established of Assassination Rogue, and allow you to leverage various parts of your gameplay from cleave, single target AoE, as well as damage over time components to be more effective within Mythic Plus dungeons. And as an additional bonus, specs like Outlaw and Subtlety are also going through quite a few changes, so even if you pick up Assassination Rogue but don't find it to your liking, the other two playstyles have also gone through a considerable rework for you to look forward to. Now, I want to shift the focus away from the melee onto the ranged DPS classes, starting off with one of the lesser represented Beast Mastery Hunters. While the Beast Mastery talent refresher is nowhere nearly as big as what rogues have gotten for the 10.2, they did get a handful of new talents that do amplify their playstyles. You got a fantastic tier set that adds even more pet interactivity to allow you to utilize your dire beasts on top of your original companions. On top of it, subpart talents like Call of the Wild have been completely revamped, offering a more interactive gameplay opportunity. You can also upgrade it with Wild Instincts to further increase your single target, or Bloody Frenzy to massacre foes within dungeon content. Also worth noting that none of the class tuning is final for the patch 10.2 PTR, but the Beast Mastery performance so far has been quite favorable. And outside of this, Hunters finally got a raid buff with an interesting concept that allows your allies to deal more damage to the target as long as the enemy is above a certain health threshold. On average, this results in about a 1% damage increase for your raid or dungeon, but it is still something unique that only Hunters now bring in group focus content. But we should also add that Hunters do bring stuns, traps, immunities, group disruptions, and bloodlust, which could overall make Beast Mastery potentially a viable package heading into the patch 10.2. Another range spec that's outside of popularity is the Demonology Warlock. Similar to the spec of Unholy Death Knights, Demonology Warlocks are also going through quite a bit of a transition. Some of your strongest demonic summons, like the Tyrant and the Pit Lord, are gaining reign back a bit, but the rest of your combat abilities are getting improved by as much as 30% for certain abilities. This allows you to shift away the focus from some of your bigger demons and onto your basic rotational abilities, combined with some of the new AoE and cleave choices added within the spec talent tree. Also, recently Demonologist's tier set has been buffed over on the PTR by 150%, although at times it does feel like maybe they added a couple more zeros than they intended. Your tier set allows you to put a dot on the enemy target that has a chance to summon a Doom Fiend that cleaves all enemies within your path. And so far, both the demons and the additional shadow damage have been quite potent with early testing. And while we've seen some classes getting a bit of a nerf over in the patch 10.2, Demonology continues to collect buffs after buffs every single week. And if this trend continues, hopefully all of these recent changes give them a little bit more time within the spotlight. In the current season of Dragonflight, not too many healers stand out apart from Holy Paladins, but in the patch 10.2, we could see a shift in a new direction. A lot of the healing classes are getting powerful new tier set bonuses, but none are getting nearly as much attention as the spec of Discipline Priest. One of the focuses of Disc Priest is to help simplify the rotation. Disc Priests are generally known as a high skill cap healer, with the unique damage healing playstyle that's kind of difficult for newer players to get into. Patch 10.2 was to re-solidify the main component of the playstyle by combining certain abilities together to help declutter the rotation, which results in spells like Mind Blast taking on the aspects of Schism, which allows you to create a damage burst window to further amplify your healing. Mindbender and Shadow Fiend will now grant you Shadow Covenant freely, which also creates a very interesting cooldown dynamic between the two summons, either choosing to go for a big Shadow Fiend that has lower uptime but a much greater impact, or a Mindbender which is active more often but not nearly as potent. Discipline Priests also come with a very powerful tier set that further amplifies your damage and allows you to focus on offensive power in order to replenish your allies. Disc Priests also gain a new powerful cooldown of Ultimate Penitence, which allows you to ascend into the air, firing bolts of penance in all directions, which allows you to either help stabilize your allies through rapid healing, or output potent single target damage that can heal multiple targets with the mechanic of Atonement. So far, the tank of Bear Druid has been a dominant pick when it comes to Season 2 of Dragonflight, but it looks like their dominance may be coming to an end. Bear Druids together with Protection Paladins got a somewhat underwhelming tier set, at least when comparing them based on the initial community impressions. Specs like Protection Warrior, Blood Death Knight, and even Vengeance Demon Hunter proved to be a bit more exciting, but the one set that stole a lot of the spotlight was the one for the Brewmaster Monk. Brewmaster Monks are known as one of the more DPS-oriented tank classes, and their tier set helps complement a lot of that firepower. Dealing damage helps increase your overall survivability, a trait which has allowed Bear Druids to dominate within Season 2. And the early version of this bonus has allowed monks complete self-sustainability, greatly increasing your personal reliability, allowing your healers to focus on everyone else within your party. The first set bonus also allows you to stop damage intake entirely, with an extra absorb that applies strictly to staggered damage. This in turn creates you some breathability, where monks are usually used to getting constantly assaulted by enemy attacks or staggering that damage over time. This allows you a few seconds to stabilize yourself even when pressed under the most harsh conditions. Combining this newfound reliability with the original Brewmaster playstyle, and you have yourself a fantastic, aggressive tank with great mobility, and an awesome array of impactful survivability tools, from common defensives like Celestial Brew, offensive survival options like the Exploding Keg, as well as bigger defensives with a much longer considerable downtime. That's going to be the full list of classes seeing some of the more notable improvements when it comes to Mythic Plus content so far for the patch 10.2. Have you already made the decision on which class you're going to be maining next, or are you going to give it a little bit more time to see how the tuning pans out? Or are you possibly in between of a couple options? And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Which classes are you currently considering potentially picking up as your proper main for 10.2? I want to thank all of you so much for watching this video and hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.